Western thriller. It's full of excitement and suspension. It's a little bit scary. It'll definitely hold the attention of the audience, and there's a lot of twists and turns in the film. So I would definitely say if you're in for some excitement, watch the movie. It's a really fun new take on a Western. You know, we have a female protagonist, and it's about a daughter and a mom fighting off a lot of scary cowboys. So it's a really fun watch.
Yeah, and Brielle, your character Hester, she knows how to get her hands dirty. She's very religious in prayer, but she
Yes.
definitely knows how to deliver that killer blow as well. I imagine filming all those sorts of stunt scenes and getting to use the old traditional types of weapons and learning how to use them. I imagine that was very exciting and an exhilarating rush as well.
It was so fun. It's so cool to be kind of like at the time I filmed it 2 years ago. And so I was about 18 years old. And so it was really fun to take on all these like big, scary cowboys. We were working with Cowboy Cerrone, who's an infamous fighter. And they were all so kind, but it was really awesome. And we obviously used only replica weapons, nothing unsafe. And we never actually shot any guns, but it was so cool to pretend. I mean, it's a really empowering role to play a character that really doesn't take anything. You know, she's so bold, and survival is really the undertone of the film, and it's cool to play a character from that place. And Hester's just a total badass, so it was awesome.
And tell me, wearing those old traditional country western outfits, that was particular the norm at the time, and we get to see you all dolled up in your sort of main piece. It brings us back to Little House on the Prairie, almost like in terms of the sorts of costumes. I imagine working in those in terms of California, because you were working at Silver Strand Ranch, and I imagine the heat and the weather. I imagine that it was probably they looked the part, but was it a bit uncomfortable all the same?
It was actually so lucky that we had the clothing because we were filming in LA winter, which is nothing
Okay.
compared to Canada or Irish winter. But it was a little chilly, and a lot of them were night shoots. So it was really handy. If we took off all of our costume, you just see thermals and sweaters and everything. So it was really handy. I can't imagine filming LA summer in those clothes, but LA winter, it came in handy.
Okay, LA Winter. I was just sort of wondering. And tell me, Silver Strand Ranch, you did all your shooting in Silver Strand Ranch. How big is that place, given the concept of the movie and the sort of scenes and the location? Is it, dare I say, does it go on for a sort of a few miles from start to finish?
Yeah, easily. I mean, it's a huge location, and we had control of the whole thing, which was really awesome. And there are so many scenes where my character has to, run around with guns and get chased and do all these action scenes. And being able to have a location where you just have full freedom, I think really adds to the film. Like there were so many scenes where I'm on the side of mountains, and they're like, hopefully this mountain doesn't crack under you. Like it was kept the stakes really high. And one full day, we did all my running scenes around the ranch on one day, and the crew and I were traveling around like a little circus, trying to get from location to location to location. So yeah, it was definitely adventurous.
Yeah, and I imagine with that sort of shoot as well, given the sorts of location, did you stay nearby? Because I imagine that you did probably most of the shoot maybe in a week, 2 weeks. So did you stay close by to the ranch in terms of that?
Yeah, I was an easy 20-minute drive in Valencia, California, which was really nice. And as an actor, that's always good to stay focused. It's always nice to be able to have a social life while you work. But when it's a project like this, you want to dedicate all your time. And so my whole world was that ranch every morning to night. That's where I lived, which was really cool. And even Audrey, our director, Audrey Cummings, who's incredible. She did, I think, 2 weeks of prep just living on the ranch alone to map out every single shot and be as prepared as possible. So the shoot went by really quickly. We filmed it in a very short amount of time because of weather constraints. There was a random spout of rain in California, which never happens. And so we had like mudslides and crazy weather constraints that never happened. But she was so prepared. So yeah, we were lucky to have the location.
And tell me, working with Heather Graham and working closely with Heather Graham, a renowned sort of actress in her own right, did you sort of form that bond? Did you meet maybe a day or two before the shoot just to get to know each other, just to get to feel it out and maybe run through sort of concepts in terms of to try and form that chemistry on set? Or did you just arrive to set on first day and just, there we go, bang, let's hit it off?
Yeah, we were lucky to have a few days of prep. I got to meet her and do a chemistry read. And when you're working with somebody as talented as Heather, I mean, it's so easy to have chemistry with her. She's just incredible, and she plays the character in such a nuanced and really exciting way to watch. And so I mostly learned from her. I've been working for 10 years, but You can't beat the experience of someone like Heather. And we just had an incredible chemistry on set. And she is the most delightful, sweet person to work with. She'd go from being this like cold, stone cold, angry, motherly figure to being like my best friend off set. So that was really awesome. And I've been a fan of hers my whole life. And so being able to meet her, it was nerve-wracking, but she's just so down to earth. It felt like, a friend from college. She's great.
And in terms of the action sort of concepts as well, you're dealing with outlaws, gangs, members, and obviously you're portraying a teenage sort of girl in terms of that. So was there sort of, I imagine, I haven't seen the movie yet, but was there sort of scenes where depicting where these guys are maybe interested in you in another sort of fashion as well, and that you have to fight them off and, dare I see, try and escape the dreaded R word?
Yeah, definitely. There's some really intense scenes in the movie, and there's a fair amount of violence. And, Hester's a fun character to play because she's so bold and she's so naive, so that she's really not afraid of anything. But then there's a scene at the end that's very climactic where that comes up, and she's really in a dire state of survival, which I don't think it ever gets to that point the whole movie, because she's such a fun loving spirit. She's always trying to make the best out of everything. And so I got to play her in a really terrifying situation, and that was hard. And Tom Hopper was the menacing cowboy working opposite me, and he was so incredible in his role, but he was also really sweet to handle the situation the way he did. It's always hard for actors to do difficult, scary or intimate scenes, and he was such a calming presence to be around. And I'm really lucky to work with a great cast and have great chemistry with everyone, because you really have to trust the people you work with and the director and the actors working opposite you. And Tom was always checking in on me, always making sure I felt safe and comfortable and happy, and making sure I had a good environment to be able to give the character's situation justice. So it's always hard, but when you have a great cast and crew, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. And Brielle, in terms of the movie, in terms of an audience, are we talking maybe 16 sort of a plus? Is it not really a family sort of movie as such? Are we talking maybe young male adults? So where do you see this sort of concept, or do you think this would reach out to maybe people who are big fans of the Western genre that are maybe in their late 50s, 60s? Does it reach out to a wide variety of audiences, or is it not really a family movie as such in terms of under 16s?
Yeah, I would probably say stick to above 16. It's not too violent or too gory at any point, but the concepts and the subject matter can be difficult at times. So I would say it's somewhat of a family movie, but stick to the older side. And it's really true to the Western genre, adding a little thriller horror twist, which is, a really cool kind of concept. So definitely, if you love horror and you love character depth, there's a lot of it's a lot of dialogue and interactions between complex characters that would never find themselves in these kind of unfortunate circumstances. And there's some comedy in it too, so it really has something for everyone. So I would say a wide range. If you love Westerns, it's 100% for you, but also if you like kind of a thriller with a little lighter edge at times, then it's for you too. It's got a nice wide audience.
Yeah. And Brielle, before we came on air, we had a quick sort of chat, and you mentioned that you had Irish connections, and you've been to Ireland on a good few occasions in the past. You might expand a bit more on that?
Absolutely. I love Ireland. I was there last year for New Year's. It's one of my favorite places to be. I have a lot of family in Westmeath. My granddad grew up there. I have family in Castle Pollard, in Rathcoole. And so, yeah, it's one of my favorite places on planet Earth. I think the people are incredible. I always have the most fun experiences, and the pubs and the Guinness. I mean, it's where I would love to live there at some point. So maybe it's my next stop after Montreal, but it's just the best. So yeah, shout out to the Fagans and the Rings and everybody in Ireland who's been close to my family for a long time. It's a great place to be.
And Brielle, I suppose it's a busy time for you for the remainder of 2024 and into 2025, and exciting times ahead. Obviously, with you're probably a young actress, so you didn't really have the pain, dare I say, of acting, being an actress through COVID, or maybe the writer strikes are over. So maybe the worst of the industry is over now in terms of picking up in terms of that. So exciting times ahead, and hopefully the industry is blossoming again, practically not only in Canada, but the USA as well.
Absolutely. And hopefully my next project is somewhere in Ireland.